This is All India Radio. Tonight we bring an interview with Sri S.G. Vasudev, noted painter artist. Sri S.G. Vasudev is interviewed by Ravi Kumar Kashi.
We have here with us today S.G. Vasudev, a well known senior painter from Karnataka. S.G. Vasudev was born in 1941 in Mysore and he completed his diploma in fine arts from Madras College of Arts and Crafts in 1968. Vasudev won the national award for his painting when he was still a student in Madras way back in 1967. Since then, it has been a career full of events and achievements, creation of hundreds of paintings, reliefs in copper, murals for several theatres and public places. Along with this, Vasudev has also worked for Samskara and Vamshavruksha, two new wave films as art director, and has designed cover jackets for several books. He was part of a loosely knit group of artists who founded the artist village Cholamandal near Madras in 60s. Cholamandal went on to make a mark for itself in the Indian art scene and art history in the 70s and 80s. Vasudev has held over 25 solo shows in Bangalore, Madras, Bombay, New Delhi, Calcutta, USA, Canada, and Germany. Early in his career, he came up with a series of Vriksha paintings. In 80s, this Kalpavriksha became a tree of life, and later it also became the tree of life and death. 90s saw ink drawings titled He and She, followed by Inscape, looking at human face like a landscape. Based on the music composition of fire, earth, wind, and water, the Earthscape series was shaped, which spoke about his concern for environment. After Earthscapes, he has painted a series of works titled Theatre of Life. These works will be exhibited at Sakshi Gallery in Bangalore, Jahangir Art Gallery and Sakshi Gallery in Mumbai, Vadera Art Gallery in Delhi, and Dalit Kala Galleries in Chennai. I'd like to know more about how you started and
I was born in Mysore in 41 to my mother's family. They were amateur painters, and so had some sort of art background in me. And then I studied in Bangalore because Bangalore is my father's place. And then it was only in late 50s I took seriously to cartooning and caricature. And some of the newspapers in Bangalore encouraged me to do those things also. Then the urge to really take to painting seriously came in, I think, 59, 60. And then I joined the Madras College of Art and then studied under KCS Panikar. All along, I had the influence of, art from my mother, and the things whatever I was doing, the drawings or, the paintings, a very amateurish way, I had certain, things of Mysore, Dasara processions and things like that. And even now, you can see in my work some of those things come back, in my painting.
what made you to go to Madras, choose Madras as the
You see, at that time, it was very difficult for me to get out of Bangalore to a far off distance, and moreover, I'm talking about 60, and being the only son for my parents, and between two sisters of mine, they did not want me to be too far away. And at the same time, Madras College of Art was also very well known at the time, and KCS Panikar was one of the brilliant teachers. And it was at that time, G. Venkatachalam, an art critic who used to be in Bangalore, he told me to study under KCS Panikar. And that was a really a turning point in my career.
other than KCS Panikar, who were your teachers and who
I
really
had,
inspired you and made you to work?
yeah, I had, Munuswamy and Santana Raj, the two leading artists of Madras at the time. And they were very good teachers, and so I got a lot of inspiration from their work also.
But what was the environment like in Madras at that time? It was supposed to be a center of art in South India.
Yeah, in fact, Madras was a very important center of art in South India, and the atmosphere in the college was extremely sort of free. That Panikar did not have any sort of a conditions for his students. We could work anytime, even evenings, late evenings, early mornings. We could go to the studios and work there, and he encouraged all those things. And also we could just walk into any classroom in the college, and there was no differentiation between the first year student and the sixth year student, or even the scholarship holders. So we could just walk in and walk into his studio also to watch him doing the work. So that way, I think there was a fantastic encouragement we had.
Tell us more about your this 1967 when you got the national award. Uh,
It was quite a surprise for me. One of my paintings I called Procession, which is again to do something with our Mysore procession Dasara, and of course it was not realistic. It was more of a symbolic, and so I when I sent a painting for the national exhibition of the Lalit Kala Academy, when I got the national award, I was quite thrilled, and I went to my teacher Panikar and said, I got national award. I got my telegram just now. Half an hour later, he called me and said he also got the national award. Showed his telegram. Then it was a very, and that's what I appreciate about a person. He never had any problem with the juniors, seniors like that.
at this time, I think the Cholamandal group idea was taking up, and when exactly this Cholamandal come into being? And
You see, there was a very difficult period we had in Madras, and Madras we never had any support. No sales of paintings as such was taking place. Very rarely we could sell paintings, and also we did not have much of support from the press also. So we had to do something in between. So it so happened that the one even foreign artist who had visited our College of Arts, I think sometime in 64, 65, he was wearing a shirt which was designed by him. That gave idea to Panika. I said, why not we also start doing something?
Right.
We can extend our art to some sort of a craft.
Merging
design
art
something,
and craft.
And so we tried experimenting that for nearly a year or two. Then that was very successful. We could do batiks and small potteries and things like that, which we could easily sell. That gave us the idea that we should have a place of our own.
Right.
So we formed a loosely knit cooperative and bought 10 acres of land outskirts of Madras and started this artist village Cholamandal. It was in 1965-66. And so we're about 30-40 artists, we joined together and started this village, and we all have our own plot of land there, and we have built our studios, and we have got common studio facilities there to work. It has become a very successful venture.
Other than this merging of craft and ideas, what are the basic questions which was kind of haunting you at that moment? The identity of Indian art, which was being questioned by the South Indian artists.
Yeah, and we did question that identity of we felt that whatever we are doing, and particularly at that time Bombay was very influenced by the Western art, abstraction,
Progressive group.
and so we wanted to break away from that sort of an influence, and so we used to discuss amongst ourselves as to how we could become different, not to go back to find the thing, but use the roots,
Right.
the Indian roots, and then go further. So we try to do many things. From us took from the folk art, some took from tantric art. We tried experimenting various things, and to a certain extent, we were successful in doing those things.
So was this the time when you started doing Vriksha series?
Vriksha series was slightly later. It so happened in 1960. I came across my very good friend Girish Karnad in 60s, in 63, 64, and he was working for the Oxford University Press there. And so he took a lot of interest in my work, and we used to have exchange of ideas about our works, and to a lot of literature I studied because of him, because Kannada literature particularly. And he asked me to go and exhibit my works in Dharwar once. So I went to Dharwar, and when I had exhibition of my paintings there, I met Mr. Bendre, D.R. Bendre, poet, very well-known poet. And his poem, one Kalpavriksha Vrindavana, inspired me a lot. And Mr. Kurtukoti, Kirtnath Kurtukoti, very good critic. And so he explained to me in detail about Bendre's poetry, and even this poem in particular. So I started painting what I called Kalpavriksha Vrindavana. And then it was, to only sometime mid-70s, my tree in my painting came on the middle of the canvas. And when I had an exhibition in Delhi, one of my friends asked me whether anything to Tree of Life. I didn't know anything about Tree of Life. So then I read books on Tree of Life and how Tree of Life had influenced artists, craftsmen in various religions, and but what I called them vriksha, and I didn't want to call them tree of life, but I wanted to call them vriksha. And the vriksha concept in Indian thing is extremely important, kalpa vriksha concept, and so I used that thing and went on painting vrikshas.
So when exactly this tree of life became tree of life and death,
It
the
was some
extension of the
Yeah, it
scope.
was sometime in mid 80s. I had a colleague in the College of Arts when I was studying, named Arnavas, and so she was a brilliant painter. So we were friends, and then later on we got married, and then we started our life also at Cholamandal Artist Village, and it was in the middle of 80s that she had cancer, and ultimately she died of cancer. And I don't know. I mean, I never thought of death at that point. But then my paintings had, I called it a tree of life and death. It was only later on, after her death, somebody said that perhaps this premonition was there in your thing, and you were, working on those things.
Later, I think you started with the He and She series and then the Humanscape.
Yeah, I what I did was after 1987, 88, after she died, and I moved to Bangalore. I used to come to Bangalore very often because my source of inspiration has been Kannada literature, Kannada theatre, and Kannada alphabets. In fact, I'm extremely fond of Kannada alphabets. I use a lot of Kannada alphabets
In
in
your
my work.
painting.
Yeah, in my painting. And so my connection with Kannada literature and the theatre, and I used to come and do something for Karant, for Karnad, or whatever it is. I did art direction for 2 Kannada films also. So I always had connection with Karnataka regularly, and I used to come and exhibit my works here. And so, but when after Arnavas died, I moved to Bangalore because I wanted my son to have a home, and my sisters, my parents all live in Bangalore. No, my parents are no more, but at that time. So when I moved to Bangalore, I didn't know what to do for some time because it so happened from 1962. I was so attached to Arnavas and as a friend, and almost sort of a
A sudden
guide and a
loss.
critic at home. I lost that sort of a thing. I didn't know anybody whom I could talk to, and so it took some time for me to go back to painting. When I went back to painting, all the things which I did in 60s, 70s, and early 80s all started coming back.
In
And so,
retrospective.
yeah, sort of a retrospective. And at that time, when I called Maithuna, I used to do Maithuna paintings early in 70s. So the Maithuna figures became he and she there. I didn't know who was she there, who was he. So things like that started coming in my painting. Yeah.
That was an interview with Sri S.G. Vasudev, noted painter artist. Sri S.G. Vasudev was interviewed by Sri Ravi Kumar Kashi. We'll bring the second part of this interview on Friday, the 6th January 1999. This broadcast came to you from the Bangalore station of All India Radio. This is All India Radio. Tonight we bring an interview with Sri S.G. Vasudev, noted painter artist, when he was in Bangalore recently. Sri S.G. Vasudev is interviewed by Ravi Kumar Kashi.
We have here with us today S.G. Vasudev, a well-known senior painter from Karnataka. Before we come to your present days, how did this transformation from this earthscape to the theatre of life? When did you start this series of new series?
Nearly for about two and a half years, I was using my farm studio. It's just about 10 kilometers outside Bangalore. My father, being agriculturist, he had given a small bit of land. So I built a small farm studio there before I built my own studio in Bangalore city. And there I used to sort of, watch the villagers, getting glued to television in the evenings. That's the biggest entertainment for them. Or the temple festivals. And so those sort of things influenced me in my work. And and I did those things in my painting. And then later on I thought the whole life is theatre, So that's how I call it theatre of life. And the series is going on right now.
Other than the painting, you have been doing murals, you have been doing copper relief works, and what kind of experience you had there?
You see, I personally feel that art should be seen by public, and particularly modern art or contemporary art. It's very difficult unless people see more often. They can't appreciate it, and we have to educate them, and it's very difficult to expect them to come to studios, expect them to come to art galleries, museums. So it's better to create something in public for them. So whenever there is an opportunity, I would grab it, whether it's a theater or whether it is something else, or even doing big, banners. I would use all these things in those areas, I like doing these murals in various mediums, not very expensive in case if people could not afford. Better to go for a cheaper medium and do something. But at least something is there on their public buildings. And you see, if you do a mural for a building, even a sort of a flats, where there are about 25, 30 rooms, apartments. Each day, if they see,
have a look at it.
they look at it. And out of 23, 25 families, if 2, 3 families take serious interest in art, that itself is a big success. I think it's important for us to do a lot of public work.
You have been in art for about 3 decades now. What is it that really takes you to?
It is, I'm glad that I got into art, and somehow I feel that if I don't paint or draw, I feel I'm nothing. I'm nothing really.
That gives you the reason for
It
existing.
does give me reason. Even if I don't paint, even for about a week, sometimes I feel that I have lost something. So I want to be continuously painting. And at the same time, something, every time I see some other's art, whatever it is, I get a lot of,
Urge to paint?
yes, urge to paint. And there is a white canvas in front of me, I feel like painting. A white paper in front of me, I want to draw. And I think that is what I think keeps me going. And when it's growing older, one feels that there is a lot of things one feels like doing.
Right.
So I have actually been working much more than what I was working 10 years ago. Continuously, I produce much more work than what I was doing 10 years ago.
So what's your process of working? You working in the mornings, in the afternoons, you prepare a lot of
I
drawings.
don't have any specific times. Only thing is whenever I have to work on some larger canvases, I try to start as early as possible in the morning, because I work continuously. Because my method of painting is like that. I use a lot of oils, and before the oils get dry, I would like to finish the painting. So the larger the painting, it takes hours, at least 10, 12 hours of 80 or 16 hours sometimes continuous work. So I do that. So I don't specifically take any particular time, and I can, but I avoid painting in the afternoons for about 2 hours or so. I need to rest normally, and I avoid, if possible, working late in the evenings.
But before you start the canvas, you do a lot of drawings and preparations, and then
I don't prepare at all for painting.
you
I feel-
spontaneously start the canvas.
Yeah, I don't. The drawings I do, but they're complete by themselves. And painting is straight away I start working on the canvas. I don't prepare with my drawings at all. But basically, I have some idea, and I start working with that idea. And then as I paint, many things start coming into the work.
You have been watching the Bangalore art scene, Karnataka art scene rather, for about 3 decades now. What do you feel the changes in it?
In 60s, it was quite, we were in a real sad situation. We never had any college of art of any, standing. And so quite a lot of students were going to only some small private schools. And but it was sometime by mid-70s, one felt that, there is some sort of a youngsters working activity started moving. So when this was happening, one felt that these artists also should get exposure outside, because it's not sufficient for them. not much of exhibitions were coming to Bangalore, and they didn't know what was happening elsewhere in the country. To even experience something else, they needed to go out of Karnataka to see. So what we did was, we this State Lalit Kala Academy, when it was formed again sometime in 77 or something, and Dr. K.K. Hebbar became the chairperson. At that time, we had this sort of, we programmed. We thought we should send the best of the students from here to either Baroda, Shantiniketan, Delhi with some scholarship.
For higher studies.
For higher studies. And the change which took place was dramatic. In the course of last 10-15 years, Karnataka has become one of the best centers for art. That's something which is really very important, very significant.
What are your future programs, in the sense? Any new series coming up? New ideas?
Well, right now Theatre of Life has been there, and I think I've got a lot of subject with that, because when I did the paintings of tree, rickshaw what I called it didn't have anything to do with environment at that time. I always had connection with earth, sky, star. Somehow, my paintings always had these things. And and I also like to listen to music when I paint. I play music all the time, classical, Hindustani, Carnatic, as well as Western classical music. And it so happened that some of the lovely music given on seas, then rivers, sands, so it inspired me when I was painting, and then I called it Earthscapes. And the issue of environment degradation also started coming there. After moving to Bangalore, I have been more conscious, maybe because I have been meeting a lot of activists, and
it's given a different dimension.
Different dimension to the whole thing, and so I called it Earthscapes, which still goes on here now and then in my painting. Yeah. The thing is, whatever these the stories which one had heard, what my grandfather had said, or what my great friend A.K. Ramanujan had said, and all these things are all coming in my work, and I somehow see that there is a lot of things which one wants to do in this area, and I don't know where it's going to lead, but I'm just working.
So you're looking forward to great days.
Of course, yes.
Painting
of course, yes. I do look forward to great days, and I'm already planning many things. And one more thing which I have been very seriously thinking of doing, in fact I have worked to a certain extent, is from ancient Kannada alphabet to the present day. Use the Kannada alphabets as they were, and development of that, and come to the poetry, theatre, literature, everything, and significant work which is done in these fields by various writers, and I want to bring all those things in my drawings and paintings and have a very massive show of that. Maybe in the course of 1 year I'm going to do that.
In between all these human figures, will the tree remain in the coming works?
The tree has been reoccurring in various shapes. It's not the vriksha, but you can see even in my painting now, the tree is there. If there is no tree, there is some sort of a solid form which looks like a tree is there. It could be a pillar, branches of the trees. So I think that it's a sort of it's a growth. It's a growth. When the tree is growing, it grows upwards, and again it takes a lot of things to the roots. So it's a continuous thing. I think it goes on.
Wishing you all the best in the coming days. Thank you for joining us in this program. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
We conclude the second part of the interview with Sri S.G. Vasudev, noted painter artist. He was interviewed by Ravi Kumar Kashi. This broadcast came to you from the Bangalore station of All India Radio.